Here's the trap that catches most AI programs in their first 6 months. Leadership gets excited. Teams come back with 20 ideas. The list grows. Pilots start in 3 departments at once. None of them are properly scoped. None of them have a baseline. And by the end of the second quarter, no one can say with certainty what's working, what's stalled, or what should be killed. This is what I call pilot sprawl, and it is the single most common failure pattern I see in early AI adoption. The leaders who avoid pilot sprawl have one thing in common. They use a triage framework before they say yes to anything. Today, I'm going to give you that framework. Every potential use case should be evaluated against 4 criteria, not 3, not 5, 4. And the discipline of running every idea through the same 4 criteria is what saves you from sprawl. Criterion 1, business value clarity. Can you express the value in one sentence using one of the 4 levers: revenue, margin, cycle time, or risk? If you cannot, this is not a starter use case. It might be a great use case eventually, just not first. Criterion 2, feasibility. Does the workflow already exist with a clear input, a clear output, and a baseline you can measure? Are the data sources accessible? Is the success criteria objective? If you have to invent the workflow before you can apply AI to it, the project is twice as risky and 3 times as slow. Criterion 3, risk. If the AI gets it wrong or misuses data, what is the worst case outcome? Is the failure mode bounded? Can you roll back? Is there a human review point before any output reaches a customer or a regulator? Starter use cases should have a low ceiling on the worst case outcome. Save the high-risk applications for after you have proof. Criterion 4, time to proof. Can you produce a measurable result inside 90 days? Not a final deployment, a measurable result. If the project requires 6 months of integration before you can see anything, it is not a pilot, it is a program. Programs are valuable, they are just not where you start. Now I'm going to give you the fastest filter I know, the executive risk screen. 5 questions, 5 minutes, and most bad ideas get caught before they consume any team time. Question 1. Does this use case touch customer data, financial data, or anything legally sensitive? If yes, you need elevated controls before this can be a starter pilot. Slow down. Question 2. Does the output go directly to a customer, vendor, or regulator without a human in the loop? If yes, that is an agent-level risk profile. Either insert human review or pick a different starter use case. Question 3. Does the workflow involve money movement, identity changes, or access changes? If yes, you need verification rules in place before you start. These are not pilot territory until you have your guardrails defined. Question 4. Is the outcome of the workflow auditable? If you cannot reconstruct who did what and when, this is not a defensible starter pilot. Question 5. Is there an executive sponsor accountable for the outcome? If the answer is sort of, or we're figuring it out, do not start. Use cases without clear ownership are use cases that drift. 5 questions. Run them on every proposed use case. The bad ones don't survive the screen, and the team learns the standard quickly. Now let me give you something practical. After working with a lot of small and mid-sized organizations on early AI adoption, I noticed the same 5 categories of starter use cases keep producing wins. If you don't know where to start, start here. Use case 1, internal drafting and summarization. Meeting summaries, proposal drafts, internal documentation, SOP cleanup. Pure copilot mode. The human is in control. The risk is bounded. The productivity lift is measurable. And it builds the muscle of working with AI in your culture. Use case 2, internal knowledge assistant. A bounded assistant that answers employee questions from approved company content, policy questions, SOP questions, onboarding questions. The connector is scoped to approved sources. Logging is on. The value is measured in escalations avoided and time saved per question. Use case 3, sales and marketing acceleration. First draft proposal language, customer segment specific outreach drafts, RFP response acceleration, internal sales coaching summaries, drafts only, human review for anything customer facing. Use case 4, support and operations, ticket triage suggestions for agents, draft responses for common inquiries, Knowledge-based summarization. Note, drafting only. Humans approve what customers see. Use case 5, finance, HR, and back office. Document classification, invoice triage, expense report review, draft policy questions. These tend to be high in volume, repetitive, and easy to baseline. Pick 2 of these 5 for your first 90 days. Not 5, 2. The discipline of choosing only 2 is what produces proof. 5 at once is what produces sprawl. Here's the last thing I want you to understand. Use case selection is not a one-time event. It is a pipeline. Once you have your first 2 pilots running, your team will start surfacing more ideas. Some will be great, some will be mediocre, some will be premature. Without a pipeline, every new idea creates a debate. With a pipeline, every new idea has a clear path. The pipeline has 4 stages. Intake, where ideas are captured in a standard format. Triage, where they get scored against the 4 criteria and the executive risk screen. Pilot queue, where approved ideas wait for capacity to open up. An active pilot, where work is actually happening with a 90-day clock. This is how you turn use case selection into a steady cadence instead of a chaotic conversation. And the more disciplined the pipeline, the more your team starts proposing better ideas because they know what your bar is. Here's the close. Your first AI win does not need to be the most impressive. It needs to be the most provable. Pick 2 use cases that meet the 4 criteria, survive the executive risk screen, and fall into the first 5 pattern. Run them through 90 days, measure honestly, then pick the next 2. That is how you build momentum without burning out your team or your credibility. Subscribe and like if this was useful. And in the comments, tell me which of the first 5 use case categories you'd start with in your organization. I'm curious where the natural early wins are showing up. Next up, build, buy, or partner. The 3 paths every AI initiative eventually faces, and how to make the call without losing control of your data, your contracts, or your future. See you there.